Okay, this video is going to get you started on your Foodscape project. We're going to go ahead and start by creating new, same exact measurements as the Dreamscape, 8.5 by 11 inches. Just make sure your orientation matches the orientation of the picture you found on Google. Mine was horizontal, so I'm going to leave that here. Resolution 300 pixels per inch. First step will be to click your image icon to insert your landscape picture. So I have mine here. The goal being to cover your white background with this landscape image. It's okay if things get cut off. And it's okay if the picture looks a little fuzzy or pixelated because, as it said in the project assignment, this is just the roadmap. This picture is going to go away. So we're just going to go ahead and leave this here, and then we're going to start building on top of it. I would even suggest clicking on these three little dots when you're on this layer, and under layer actions, clicking lock layer so this doesn't move. And then you're going to start building. So I have all these images. I decided to go with a pasta theme. So I have all these images, and as I was looking for images, I had this landscape in mind. So I was looking for things that could take on the appearance of water, of flowers, of mountains. So I'm going to go ahead and start with these mountains, and I'm going to open up these big hunks of cheese and get these masked and ready to go so they can become my mountains. So kind of bring these up to size. Then I'm going to go ahead and do an object selection. Looks pretty good. Come back down to quick selection. Have it on deselect to get rid of this white space. And then I'm just going to go ahead and hit mask to get the background gone. And then you'll notice here, it's not going to be an exact science. You're really just trying to kind of mimic the landscape. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this in where I think it fits best. And then I'm going to add another mountain. So for me, that means another hunk of cheese. Bring this to scale. I think I'm going to place this one behind here. Again, object selection. The other thing is, if you have a full white background, you might just even be able to hit remove background and see how the app does with that. It did pretty good on this one. I do want this to be underneath or behind the other wedge. I'm gonna scale that appropriately. Fit that one in there. All right, next. Now this one, I'm thinking it might work best if I flip it. So first thing I'm gonna do is flip it horizontal. Actually, go ahead and remove background and see how it does. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna lay this one in. I might make it a little bit bigger by transforming. It looks like I need maybe one more little mountain in there to kind of fill in that gap. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this cheese wheel again. And I'm gonna flip this one so it's opposite the one that's already on there. I'm gonna go ahead and do the remove background function again. And then I'm going to bring this one down underneath and put it into place. This to me feels like it might be worth duplicating. So I'm going to click on my three dots for layer actions, duplicate the layer, and then I'm going to flip it back and bring it over here and fill that little space in. All right, so if I were to unview my background, I now have a mountainscape of cheeses. Now the only thing bugging me is I feel like this one is a little bit darker than it should be. So I'm gonna go ahead and add an adjustment layer. I'm gonna bring the brightness up a little bit on that. Now you notice it's happening to everything, so we'll work around that. I'm gonna get that cheese to the color I want. And then I'm gonna click on the actual brightness and hit this little downward arrow and just apply it there. So that way it kind of is fading, almost like the light is hitting over here. And I really like how that looks. All right, I'm gonna bring this one back, and now I'm gonna start talking about maybe building up my sky. So little tough for sky. Right now I'm thinking I'm gonna fill it with Parmesan cheese. But a lot of this is gonna be trying to get rid of that background that exists on there. So I'm gonna see how this does when I click remove background. I'm gonna bring this up to, actually it has to be underneath the mountains. Going to scale this nice and big. So I don't want to see the boundary line. I just want it to fill my background and be my sky. Also, don't want any of that to be showing underneath the mountains. So I'm going to go ahead and make a selection here. I already have a mask happening. I'm just going to click on my mask, make sure it's black, and then just paint over that area. Okay. All right, now I know I have a sunshine in here, so I'm going to go ahead and pick out another picture to be my sunshine. And I think to stand out against that Parmesan cheese, it's going to have to be this guy. Oh. I'll go ahead and bring this up. Do want to see that a little bit bigger. Coming just over the mountains. I'm going to remove the background. I love that function. All right, in order to make this look like the sun, I'm going to bring some pasta rays in here, spaghetti rays. I'm going to go ahead and remove the background on this. And change up my order. So I want that to be underneath my sun. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. All right, we're also going to duplicate this. Get these into place. Okay. All right. Let's see here. I think it might be worth bringing the opacity down a little bit on my sky so it's not so intense. Now it's kind of hard to see. If we take off the background, we might be able to see a little bit better how that opacity is affecting the sky. But I want it to just be kind of a little bit softer in the background. So still pillowy, fluffy, shredded cheese, but not as intense. All right. So now looking at this, we have a pretty good start. So my next job is going to be coming in and putting something in for, so probably pasta sauce for the water, adding some basil leaves for the flowers. I might even put little piles of pasta along here to make the riverbank. But this is, a lot of this is just kind of playing around with the layer options to get this to look right. And start to build your foodscape out of food. So as you're working, save it as a PSD, and when you're finished, save it as a JPEG.